Institutions can be mundane, but my sci-fi world building wouldn't be complete without governing bodies. Everything from wars to scientific advancements can hinge on a government's values and structures. So, how do I decide on the composition of a government? Hi, I'm Casey Hudson, and I write sci-fi novels. Today, I'm creating a template for world-building governments. Here's what I consider when creating a world power for my Drifting Amalgams universe. Before thinking about the government of my orangutan-based Pongabel, I'd already decided that their population is large and they have a strong interest in science and technology. This may not be much of a baseline, but reverse engineering their government was easier than I imagined once I thought through the government's responsibility to its people, means of maintaining order, and delegation of power. Protection of the governed is one of the main responsibilities of governments. But, depending on the society's values, safe can mean a multitude of things. For instance, a society's people may feel safe when they are healthy and mentally well. A responsible government for this society may invest in health care and seek to resolve conflicts through alliance or compromise rather than war. Similarly, a society built around the ideals of independence and autonomy is likely to have a populace that feels safer when their government is not involved in everyday affairs. When building the Pungabel government, I had to remember that safety and security for modern-day society not only includes things like counterterrorism, cybersecurity, and defense against foreign interference, but also public service and cultural preservation. I already decided that Pungabel values science and technology and have a means of space travel. In the basic storyline I crafted for them, they're trying to piece together the details of an extraplanetary disaster. That would mean that they have few allies to tell them the history of the universe. With few allies and a potential for extraplanetary threat, I expanded their military and combined this idea with their values to create a government that advances science in the interest of planetary defense. To stay relevant and in power, a government must maintain a system for ensuring that the laws it enacts are followed. Are laws policed, judged, and punished compassionately? Does punishment fit the crime? Is guilt or innocence presumed before judgment? One thing I noted here is that stricter policing and punishment systems can negatively affect the populace's perception of safety. For instance, how safe do people feel if the governing body protects them from potential threats by imposing a curfew and brutalizing anyone who is wandering around after dark? Thinking through protection and punishment scenarios like this helps me balance the cost and benefit of a government's approach. Coming back to Pungabel, their net gain from the government needs to be advanced technology because of how highly they value science. But if their highly technological society is made possible because of the military, that must mean their military is very powerful. Powerful enough to be the foundation for their policing and punishment system. So, I began thinking of the Pungabel government as a stratocracy, which is a form of government that is headed by military chiefs. Small groups are usually easier to manage than large groups. So, when a group becomes too big to manage, subgroups often form. With governments that manage vast lands or large populations, there are often smaller authorities like municipal governments. Because Pungabel are both great in population and land, I had to think about questions like, what distinguishes a governed subgroup? Like land boundaries, cultural affiliations, whatever. What are the responsibilities of each sub-government? Like defense or public health, maybe road maintenance. Are there any shared responsibilities? For example, interstate highways. This line of questioning can go on, but the point is that I think about how manageable the roles and responsibilities of each subgroup are. If I think it's unreasonable that any one entity would be in charge of so much, I look to break the government down more. This was the moment for Pungabel that I was able to visualize their government structure. Once I decided that they have a significant military, I wrote a backstory wherein smaller groups were slowly absorbed, conquered, into a central planetary government. For a bit of drama, I decided to leave the absorbed governments primarily intact while giving overall military control to the main stratocracy. I ended up with a reverse engineered stratocratic confederacy with an unrivaled military psi or mili-sci focus. Depending on the situation, I do use other approaches for world-building government, but Poe and Gabel are special because I wrote much of their story before constructing their government. Because your writing process may be to work through the events of a story before focusing on the mundanities, I thought I'd share how I reverse engineer a government. I hope it was helpful. Until next time, keep creating.